of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tina Clark, and today I have a guest all the way from India, Indra Rinzler, and he is an astrologer and spiritual guide. And we're going to talk about big healing topics today. So there's your warning. But one of the topics that he specializes in is explaining what's going on in the world right now. So, Indra, how do you
Hi.
walk us into this topic? It's very big, but I'm curious to see what you're going to say about this.
How? Now you've already stumped me. How I can't answer.
I promised him, y'all, that I would not stump him.
Let me start by saying that I ended up with a whole podcast about this. That why has completely disappeared for me. I just don't really care why, and how. I don't really know that either. The causation you get from the higher level that there is no causation. So how?
Right.
I don't know. Why? I don't know. I just
So
don't.
tell us the what.
It just
The
doesn't
what.
affect me. The what?
What's
So
happening? Yeah.
so the reality of it, as I see it, is this: is that in India, um, there is the teaching of the yugas, and it's the cycle of ages. And Greece had it called the Great Year, and there was the Golden Age, there was a Silver Age, there was a Bronze Age, and an Iron Age. And India has it. It's called the yugas. You've got at the highest level, it's Sat Yuga, that's the highest vibration, and Treta Yuga, which is also pretty high. Then Dwapara Yuga, which is the energy age. And then there's Kali Yuga, which is a term you may have heard. Kali Yuga is the densest age. And everybody in India believes that we're still in Kali Yuga. And I had a teacher who believed that Kali Yuga was done. We were in Dwapara Yuga. It's the energy age. It's the age of body-mind connection. It's the age of the internet. It's the age of universal healthcare. I like to say Henry VIII didn't say to one of the wives, you know what, why don't we on Tuesdays and Thursdays go down to the village and have a free clinic? We'll bring all the doctors down there and all the herbs, and we'll heal the people. And the queen, maybe the queen died because she said, no, that's not a good idea, Henry. I don't think he thought of that. And so in this particular period of a higher age, universal healthcare, the internet, atomic energy, quantum physics, these are all Dwapara energy concepts, and they have all started since 1900. And this teacher in 1894 wrote a book that said, oh, and by the way, Dwapara Yuga, DWARPA, I think, or PARA, Yuga is starting in 1900. And then in 1900, the first flight, quantum physics was discovered, the theory of relativity was discovered, and Pavlov with conditioning, all between 1900 and 1910, set up the whole, century, if not, we're still railing off of that. And so why does it seem like it's still pretty dense and not such a high age? Well, I like to say that he said that the cycle was 2,000 years. So if you take 125 years and you divide that into 2,000 and you put it into a ratio of 9-month gestation, we're 2 weeks in. We don't even know we're pregnant yet. Okay? This is the death dance of Kali Yuga, of dense ideas, of limitations, of if you can't see it, you can't believe it, thinking that you're stuck in a place, that things greed, power, control. These ideas are still around, but I call it the dinosaur death dance. When a dinosaur dies, they're even if it's only in a Disney movie, they're gonna nothing's safe for a big distance. So that's what's happened. That's what I believe is happening now. So how do we know? Well, I know that, in 1970, when I first moved to California, um, when I first moved to California, actually, I left and came back. But when I first moved to California, natural food stores, never heard of that before. Metaphysical bookstores, never heard of that before. The whole idea, I'm in the what they like to call the yoga capital of the world here in India, in Rishikesh. Yoga studio is everywhere. I have a good friend. I visited his father here. He's got 87 students for his month long. 43 countries in 87 people. I mean, I can't even get my mind around that, because you figure somebody's going to bring their best friend or their mate, and that's going to be two. But somehow 43 countries, I suppose you could have a mate with two different countries. These are those kind of traveling people. 43 countries in 87 people. Yoga is everywhere. That is a Dwapara Yuga idea, not a Kali Yuga idea.
Yeah. So we're in it, right? Right now.
That's the way I look at it. We're 2 weeks out of 9 months into it, 125 years out of 2000, and we don't really know what we have yet, because we're still sort of adjusting. If the phone rings early in the morning and your friend says, "Are you there?" and you say, "Let me call you back when I wake up." Okay, that's where we're at right now. We haven't woken up yet. We're just waking up.
Some of us have, and then we're like, why is everybody else asleep?
Well, there are people that wake up right away, and luckily I'm one of them. So that's what I believe is happening, and it's a little bit like the age of Aquarius. I'm not really particularly into the age of Aquarius, because I don't see how the age of Aquarius is a higher age than the age of Pisces. I mean, I can see it as a different flavor, but there's nothing in it that says it's a higher age. This teaching has a higher age in it. It has I didn't give you this, but the teaching is that there's a descending and an ascending cycle, and that 400 AD was the bottom of the pit. It's 12,000 years, 12,000 years on either side, because the higher periods are longer. It's 4,000 years, 3,000 years, 2,000 years, 1,000 years. They each have a transition period of 100 years for 1,000 years, up to 400 years on either side. It's a 12,000 down and 12,000 up. 400 AD was the bottom, and it has a higher and a lower vibration to it. The age of Aquarius, everybody wants to make it a higher age, but I don't see how Pisces, there's no sign that's better than any other sign. There's no planet that's better than any other. There can be, they can work in challenges. Jupiter can be more fun than Saturn, but better? No, no. Saturn teaches us lessons that are mind-blowing and universal, and really what we're looking for. We're not looking for the next party. I mean, when we're 21, maybe we're looking for the next party of Jupiter, but that isn't it. And it isn't that Saturn is a higher energy. Saturn is just a different energy, and Jupiter, when your Jupiter isn't good, then that is really a positive. When you're able to expand and to see beyond your own limitations, and to embrace everything and everyone, that is your that is your magic potion. So, but there's no higher or lower in any of this. Sure, there is. Humans put it in, but I don't think that I mean, I don't think redwood trees are better than maple trees. I mean, they're taller. but they don't have the colors of maple trees, and they don't have the shape. And there's no Japanese redwood tree, everybody's got their own thing that's really their positive and their own expression. And in its, when you compare, then you run into problems and you find good or better or worse. But in its own reality, if you only knew maple trees and you didn't know redwood trees, your life would still be full.
True. So, for the listeners out there, why should they care about what age are we in, and what is the point of all this? And that we know the intensity of the energies is really tough right now for a lot of people, since we're only 2 weeks in and we don't know we're pregnant, right?
Yeah. Well, they don't have to. You can be totally isolated, and you go away for a weekend retreat, and there's no internet, and the life goes on, and it's fine. You don't need anything else. But there comes a place where knowledge has power. Understanding things, and you're in a heat wave. I like to say that when you don't know what the temperature is, it doesn't seem to be as hot. But if you look at the temperature and you know the number, then you think, oh my God, it's hot. And if I say to my wife, well, oh look, the forecast, it's going to be a lot cooler tomorrow, then you can, okay, I'll suck it up today. It's going to be better tomorrow, quote unquote, better tomorrow, because it won't be as hot. But you don't really need to know that information. It's fine to just dig up on the heat, and if you go back to, I'm going to freeze in the winter, so I'm going to dig up on the heat today, and be in the moment, what we call be in the moment. When you're in the moment with it, then it doesn't, none of it matters, and it's superfluous, and a distraction. So it's up to individual people whether this matters to them, and what's going on, but to know that there's an end to something, or to know that there's a reason. Why are we, why did my husband get fired? Well, because there's a better job coming, and he didn't really like his boss. So that can make you feel better, and fine, if you need, when you're at the place where you need that, and it makes a difference when you're trying to feed your family. I think that may be important information to have, but it's only on that level. It's the level of the mind where it matters. You understand? It's it's only the mind cares. The rest of it doesn't really matter.
So what do you mean by that? Only the mind cares?
So the mind is the one that is questioning everything. The liver doesn't question, the gallbladder doesn't question, the hands don't question, the toes are happy to walk. They don't really care, especially if they're in shoes, whether it's gravel or cement or dirt. Sure, some of them are a little bit better, but that ultimately it doesn't really matter. Uphill, downhill, maybe has a little effect, but the surface doesn't matter. But who does it matter to? It matters to the mind. It matters to the one that needs understanding. It matters to the one that needs a sense of order. There's only chaos is order in India.
I believe that. Yep.
You can't, when you come with your Western mind and you expect them to let you pass because you're a pedestrian, it's not going to work out. I've seen, you got a car that's making a U-turn in the middle of the street with absolutely no concern for any rules or decorum, and then there's a space and you're walking along, the motorcycle is going to race to that space. And the mind says, well, that's not right. And the reality of it is, I'll stand there and block them a little bit, but you can't. There's space, and the space is neutral, and things, molecules go where molecules go, and we're just molecules in this air environment, and he's a motorcyclist and he's going where he is, and I should watch out as a pedestrian. Not very Western, certainly not California, but it's a teacher. It's a teacher that everything is in the moment, and it's like, I got caught again, like you say, oh, I got caught again. I thought I should go, but the motorcycle said no, I'm faster and bigger than you, out of my way, and thank you, God, like what else can you say? Thank you for once again that humility, and that surrender to the moment, and what I thought doesn't really matter. So have I answered your question about the mind?
Yeah, totally. So, well, let's go back to the Aquarian age then. So you're an astrologer. So tell us about the Aquarian age. What are we supposed to expect from this new age that we're moving into?
Well, Aquarian is there's so much hype and misunderstanding. The Aquarian age is Aquarius is a fixed air sign. It's the water carrier, and it's air. It's intellectual because it's air and it's fixed, so there's a rigidity to it. It's ruled by Saturn, and
so what does that mean for people who don't know what Saturn represents,
Saturn is focus and discipline. Saturn is the spiritual path. Saturn is I don't really see any reason for it to be a higher age. I think it's whether it's because of the song, The Fifth Dimension, in 1967 wrote the song The Age of Aquarius. I don't think it doesn't make any sense to me. What does make sense to me is that it is the Dwapara Yuga. It's the mind-body connection, and I think that whether our symbols will be Jesus and Pisces, fishes and loaves, versus now we're going to have Aquarian symbols. Are they better or worse? No, it's just like the new hot movie, the new hot topic, the new hot show. Friends was the 90s. Maybe it's still the 20s, but I mean, it was the 90s. And then, I don't know what happened after, the show. I can't think of a show after that, but whatever the hot show is now, it's just the new flavor. Is it better? Maybe it isn't as quality as Friends, to pick on Friends, was. Maybe it was, but it has that popularity, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. So Aretha Franklin, a Cher, and now Taylor Swift. Is that better or worse? It's just the current flavor, and she speaks to the age now, the internet age, and the reaching out to people and getting. I want to invite my listeners to a party, and everybody writes in, and she picks them. And again, it's the with the internet and the energy age, she has that ability to do that. The vaudeville stars in the 1920s couldn't do that. They only had the people that were in front of them. And movies started without talking, and is that better or worse? It's just different, and then we moved in the 60s, we moved to color TVs. Better or worse? Neither. It just is. So the Aquarian age, I can't really answer that question, because it's more of a Western astrology concept, and I find the whole thing to be incredibly limited, in the sense of it's not a higher age. It's just another flavor of energy, and it could be more rigid in terms of being Saturn ruled. Pisces is Jupiter ruled in expansion, and now, I mean, and I don't think we even go into it for 300 years. I should say that. I don't even think it's coming on for 300 years. So it's a little hard for me to say what it's going to be and how it's going to work out. I think if in 300 years I can imagine that there is more discipline and more there's more understanding because we then have come to understand the nature of this plane and that this whole idea that wars kill people. I mean, the Inquisition. I mean, you think about it, that the Catholic Church was in charge of killing, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of Muslims because they were Muslim, because they went to another god in the thousands, 1500s, 1200s, 1300s, 1400s, 1500s. The Catholic Church was in charge of it, for God's sake. So I think people will understand that wars kill people. I think they're understanding that now, that if we have a nuclear war, there's no winner. And so that is a higher vibration to understand the same thing. But I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita, and it's about war. It's 5,000 years old, and it's about war. That's not a new idea. War is not a new idea, and it's used as a backdrop to help us to understand how to awaken 5,000 years ago. So now maybe we can understand that war kills people, and that it's destructive to the earth, it's destructive to the human soul, it's destructive to us as embryos. I know we're not embryos, but this is what comes. Us as embryos, us as new souls, us as not that there is new souls, but us as new, ever new. Every day we're ever new, and so that we're new and realizing that my thinking, mind-body connection, that my thinking makes my body sick. Whoa.
Yeah. So you think we're moving more toward a mind-body connection, whereas we haven't been. Okay. And how is that going to affect us, and how is that going to change?
Okay, so I think that the realization is that in terms of healing, that what you think, it used to be, a while ago, I think there was a book that you are what you eat, so now you get affected by what you think. And so the fact is that, and we're starting to get to the realization that pills don't work. I mean, pills are dealing with symptoms, and symptoms aren't causes. And so maybe getting the symptom relieved, is to an extent can be a positive thing for a while, but it doesn't really affect. And there's this whole idea in prosperity, that intention, that by affirming that you're not prosperous, that you push away prosperity.
Yep.
Okay, that's a high concept. That's not a, what was the book, Dale Carnegie, How to Be Successful and Influence People. It was new in its thinking in terms of that you can affect people, but now it seems kind of dated. And it's also become something that, I know that, I don't have to read the book, and that's obvious now. What was revolutionary 100 years ago, Pavlov, there's conditioning.
Right, definitely.
Is now a third grade subject.
Yeah, I mean, some of the terms, if you even think about when people talk about, certain psychological terms that didn't even exist in the 90s, like gaslighting. Nobody had a word for that in the 1990s, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even maybe the word cancer, the disease is a little bit new, but even if whoever had it back then, they didn't call it cancer, that they had
right.
the whole different ideas and the whole causes and all those things. That's the progression. That's the that's the progression in society, which I'm going to say is linear, but there's also a depth to it in terms of understanding it on different levels. And I think that's what's going on now. And the death dance is the death of small thinking, and small thinking is not healthy.
Yeah, it sounds like becoming more mature, because when you're younger, you think more black and white and simply. And then as you mature, you start to understand that everything's very complex, actually. And there's a lot of gray areas that you didn't even know when you were a teenager. You know, when you're a teenager, you know
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And then you
absolutely.
get there and you're like, wait a minute, I don't know everything. And then you get to the point where you're like, I don't really know anything at all. I'm going to just accept that I don't really know.
Yes, that is maturity, and there's also a lot of freedom in that.
And then also, you just know what you
And
need to know.
it's healing,
Yeah,
because to think any other way causes chemical reactions in your body.
stress.
Stress,
Hmm.
absolutely.
And that whole I don't really know, you let go of control, because control is an illusion.
That's
And if you
right. There
think
is
you
no
can
control.
right, if you think you can control things, you're always going to be disappointed and you're always going to be unhappy, because you cannot control things.
And so you have eloquently stated here, this is, sums up what we've learned in the last 50 to 100 years. And this is mind body connection, is that uh, things aren't as they appear to be, that there's a depth to things, and that you know, you can be, you should be happy. The mother says you should be happy. Look at your wonderful family, and you're unhappy because you're a prisoner in that uh, um, responsibility, and there's no freedom in it. And it's, school lunches every day. I'm making up a story that's typical. School
Hmm.
lunches every day, and I have to be there when he comes home, and they won't let me. I want to be creative, and I want to dance in the park, and nobody will let. If I do that, everybody will think I need to go to the mental hospital. And if I tell the mother-in-law that I hate being married, she's going to be the black sheep, and totally scorned and lose everybody. And who would want that? Only the person that is so unhappy that they're willing to sacrifice what appears to be happiness but isn't. And in order to do that, in order to realize that, you have to have depth. You can't do that in a linear way. You have to have depth. That is Dwapara Yuga. That is the mind-body connection. That is the energy age, that things are not as they appear to be.
Yeah. And then also, using that same example, if you choose to become a parent, then you know that you're going to be taking care of this child for a while. And that's part of being a parent. And then owning the fact that you are a parent, and this is what happens until they're
Well,
ready to
well,
grow up and leave the house.
I'll play devil's advocate. You don't know that. You don't really know that. It's like it's like, yeah, it's just it'll roll. They'll take care of themselves after a few years. Well, yes or no. It depends.
Yeah,
You've got the happy baby, and you've
depends
got
on
the
the child.
unhappy, and you got the unhappy baby. So
Yeah,
it's like it's not as there's a learning curve in that you. Sure, it's wonderful to be open enough to whatever comes, but the reality of it is that it's confronting and scary.
yeah. But also the reality is you decided to be a parent, so you need to own it. You made the decision, and you knew that there were consequences to that decision. It could go well, it could go bad, it could be okay. We may have not known the specifics, but we knew
Well,
different
that
ways it would go.
that's in a perfect world. Now let's look at that. You're 18 years old, and everybody says you need to have a kid. And so you go along with the group thing. And then you wake
Mm-hmm.
up at 25 or 30 and you say, oh, darn, I bought a bill of goods.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True. Yeah.
so, I
Well,
mean,
that
so
goes back to
it
everybody's doing the best they can with the information they have at the time.
absolutely. And that is also Drapara Yuga.
Yeah, so it's interesting times, and we all signed up to be here, right? And yeah, it's just a
That I'll
transition
agree.
to a
That I'll
new
agree
day.
on. We're here for a reason. Absolutely, we're here for a reason.
Yeah, we were here to experience
We're here to
this.
experience it. Yes.
Yeah, and if it's chaotic, we probably knew it'd be chaotic, but here we are. Well, Indra, what are you up to lately? Like, are you doing readings? What's
I'm doing
going on with
readings,
you?
but what
Okay,
I'm really excited about is that it looks like the first book, is getting closer. I actually have a meeting with my editor after this. I got my first look at some designed pages
that's
about
fun.
2 days ago.
Hmm.
And after going through the Death Valley, I actually found somebody. It's the, I was single forever and I was looking everywhere, and then all of a sudden, an angel appeared in my life who it just starting to take my breath away on the perfection in the marriage, of the marriage of the book person to the author. And
Great. So what's the name of the book and what is it about?
well, the name
Do
of
you
the
have a
book,
title?
yeah, the name of the book is Indra's Net. And Indra's Net it's not this Indra, which is a spiritual name given to me many years ago. Indra's net is a Buddhist and Hindu concept that Indra, the king of the gods, Indra, had a net, and that net was big enough to cover the whole universe. And at the crossing places in the net were placed perfect faceted jewels, and those jewels reflected everything, all other jewels, and everything that was in the universe. Every jewel reflects every other jewel, and it's a concept, or a I guess you might call it a myth. I don't think of it as a myth, but I'll call it a myth, that because it's not just philosophical, it's actually how things work. The fact is that everything is connected to everything else. And so I have written a book that, well, let me rephrase that. A book has come through me that shares the 50 years of experiences on the spiritual path, and uses the tarot card system as what I call a muffin tin to give you 78 reflections, 78 jewels in Indra's net.
Okay. And when do you think the book will be out
The
or
book will be
available?
out. The book will be out when it's time. It's just dating right now.
All right. Well,
I mean, probably maybe by spring or summer. I mean, we'll just have to see. We're really, I mean, it's written, but we're going through an editing process, and we got to pull a few pieces together, and I'll know more. We're just we met like, let's say, 6 weeks ago, and now she's read it, and she's, notes are starting to come, and I'm going back and forth, and it's starting to, and I said I was going to be here 4 months, and she said, oh, that'll probably be enough time. Enough time for what? I don't know, but probably to have a book done. And then once the book is edited, and once the book is designed, which once we have a design, that I don't think the designing takes too long, then you have to put some time out for a publishing date in order to. So spring, I imagine spring or summer would be my guess. And It's a fun process in the sense that I was a book publisher for 10 years, and that this lady and I can really connect on that level of appreciating books, and she's 15 years into it. I was 10 years into it 30 years ago, but so she brings the youthful enthusiasm, and I have the my set ways, and I have expectations about the vibration that it has to have. And in reaching out to agents and publishers for many months, a year ago, starting almost a year ago, I didn't get anybody was grokking what I was doing, which was okay.
Yeah, but
And
now
if
they're
it,
starting to get it.
well, I found one person, and that's, what was it? Is it, what did Jesus say, that in two people talking in my name is a group or something? I forget
Yeah.
you
When
know, you
two
know what I,
or more meet in my name, something like that.
yeah, something like
He will
that.
be there. He is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's enough. That's enough right now. And I believe it will grow. I do think that it's, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy. It's not a, um, it's that pregnant pause. I'm really happy being pregnant, but I don't, we can find. I asked my friend with the father with the son with the 43 countries and 78 people. They're pregnant. They're going to have a baby this month. And I said, do you know if it's a boy or a girl? And he said, what are you talking about? I said, I said, you don't do that in India. He said, no. And I said, okay, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, whether it's a bestseller or not, I don't care in the least, but as a reflection of what I want to express, yeah, I think we're going to get there.
Yeah. And you're putting it out there. So how do people contact you if they'd like to have a reading or learn more about you?
Um, I do, and to answer your question, yes, I'm still doing readings. The book is happening right now, but yes, the readings are happening. I have a website, indrarinzler.com. It's all one word, that they can contact me. I'm on Facebook on Indra Rinzler, and you can check some posts there if you're interested. What's going on? I have a lot of podcasts there that I've been on. I do Vedic astrology, the astrology of India. My focus is on spirituality, helping people to wake up to who they really are. I'm really into the really desperate. I don't understand. I need answers. I've tried everything. That's my specialty. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in the better life, because the better life will come. I'm not interested in any predictions. I'm interested in helping people to make sense of the of the mazedness of life, and that's the interest that I've been given. That the whether it's angels or gurus or spirits have invoked in me this ability, and they are with me every step of the way, because the intuition takes what doesn't come. I like to say my approach is science and intuition. That the science of astrology is that the planets are real, and they have energy, and they affect us when they're cuspy or retrograde and all this. It has an effect on us. And then it's science and intuition. Then the intuition takes over, and then we're able to see beneath the surface and understand things in a deeper way. I do location astrology, the astrocartography, the power of place. I do readings. I work with the Enneagram of personality, the 9 personality types. One is at your core, to help you understand your core triggers. And I do like to offer on podcasts that if you write me, I will send you your Vedic astrology chart. It's not a reading, but I will send you your chart. I need birth, date, time, and place. And if you want to learn about the Enneagram, I will send you a very simple test, 5 minutes, for you to be able to start figuring out which one of the points, the 9 points, is at your core. and working with that. It's a life-changing modality. I don't know if many people haven't heard of it, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that, but it is life-changing, and it gives a clarity to all of our patterning behavior, and that's wonderful. So write me for either of those two free offers.
All right. Well, I'll have all his contact information in the show notes. And I want to thank you, Indra, for being on the show and for making me laugh. Now I just have this vision of dinosaur death spiral.
Okay, very good.
I may name the show that. I don't know. But thank you so much
Okay,
for being on, and I take care in India.
yeah, thank you. Blessings to you.